In this lesson, we're going to look at a basic stock screener. Actually, you can use it for stocks, bonds, and mutual funds, and that's from Yahoo Finance. And so we're going to navigate to that in just a moment here, and I'll kind of show you how to use these kind of screeners, at least from a basic level. And then on the next lesson, we're going to look at more of an advanced screener where it gives you more options as far as to choose from, and that's something you'll probably end up using more. But first, let's get started with this basic screener here and look at how to maybe sort down from all the thousands of stocks and mutual funds down into something a little bit smaller to look at. Okay, we're over at Yahoo Finance. Actually, where you want to go, you can see on the top here, screener.finance.yahoo.com. So it's a little bit hidden as far as finding, but it's a nice, real good stock screener, something basic, something easy to use. So first thing you want to do when you come here is you can see you have a stock screener, you have a bond screener, and a fund screener. And since this is of course, we'll look at stocks. You can look at individual stocks here or at stock mutual funds. In fact, let's start by looking at stock mutual funds, just something real easy to take a peek at. Then we'll look at individual stocks and we'll kind of screen for those as an example. With all these examples, once again, I'm not making any recommendations as far as individual stocks or funds or anything of that nature. Just want to show you educationally how you can use a screener or use tools that can help you with your investing. So with that said, let's go to a fund screener. So I'm going to click on fund screener. You'll see how the screen has changed. And at the top, you'll see this overview and you have these different choices you can make. And that's the deal with these screeners is you basically make choices and it'll spit out some possible funds or stocks for you to take a look at. So the first thing is the category. We're looking at mutual funds right now. We want to look for stock mutual funds. You can see you can look at any U.S. stock fund or hybrid, or you get into bond funds or all sorts of things. And as you scroll down, you'll see there's lots of choices. See, there's all these bond funds and stuff. But let's say we're looking at, let's say a large value fund, or let's do a mid-cap, let's do a large stock fund. Let's say a large value, which is kind of like both a blend of, or excuse me, not a value blend, but let's look at a large value. That would be like a dividend payer or something that's we're looking at, dividend type stocks, or you could go growth or blend of the each. Let's go blend. Let's go growth. A blend, which is a blend of growth and value. So you get a nice mixture of stocks. You can choose a particular fund family if you want, different fund families out there. We're going to leave that blank so we can kind of choose from anybody. Rank and category, do you want to be a top performer? Are you looking for maybe a bottom performer? They'll rebound. Not so sure about that. But let's say we're looking for somebody, at least in the top 20%, maybe top 10% we can narrow it down. But let's start with the top 20. These ratings are from the Morningstar service. Morningstar also gives you good stuff with mutual fund searches and things too, and a lot more information beyond just the mutual fund's website too. And Morningstar gives ratings like on a 1 to 5 star rating. So, a 4-star rating is pretty good. 5-star would be the best. You can even get like a little information on returns, like high compared to other funds in that category or low risk ones. We'll leave that blank for now. You can choose if you want certain performance measurements that you want to look at. No past performance, of course, is not a guarantee of future performance. But here you can see, let's say like a 3-year return analyzed, what that would look like. So let's say we were looking for a large cap blend fund, and we're looking for folks that maybe do better than 10%. Purchasing and fees, you can talk about initial investments, front-end loads, no-load, load funds, expense ratios. Let's see if we can find something below 1%. It might be a little harder to find, but let's see. And then you can go into different types of holdings, what type of cap, all that stuff. You kind of get that in the growth part. And you just basically fill in these basic blanks here. And then you can just hit find funds, and we'll see if any funds pop up. And as you can see, lots of funds came up. There's like the next 20, and you can see there's all sorts of these funds here. So let's narrow our search down a little bit. You can see the ratings, the rank, they're all in the top 10%. Morningstar ratings are all 4 or 5-star or better. Low expense ratio, good 3-year return, so large blend stocks. So let's narrow this down a little bit further. Let's say we like that information, but instead of the top 20%, we want the top 10%, and we want 5-star rated funds. And so we want the best of the best. And here you can see we narrowed it all the way down to one page, and you can see at least from a 3-year analyzed return, it's got them ranked, or it doesn't have them ranked, but you can see 3-year analyzed return, 5-star rated, low expense ratios, top 10% of their category, large blend, and that might give you an indication of some different funds that are out there. So if you like dividend funds, for example, this T. Rowe Price Dividend Growth Fund might stand out, and then you can click on performance or risk and get more information, right from Yahoo as far as more information than on the T. Rowe Price dividend fund, their ticker symbol, all sorts of information, their top 25 holdings. You got Pfizer, you can see these big, large cap stocks. So that'd be like, let's say, getting after a large, looking at mutual funds. Let's take a look at Stoxo. Let's use this basic stock screener to look at some individual stocks. And same kind of thing. I clicked on stocks here. I got all these choices. This breaks it down by different categories or industry. You can leave that blank for anybody. But let's say we're interested in large pharmaceuticals, which in this part happens to be under drugs. So we're interested in drugs, right? Everybody's interested in drugs, right? But we're going to look at some drug, if I can spell, drug is spelled with a D. So we're going to go under drug, healthcare manufacturers. We're going to look at the major ones. Let's say we're looking for a high-end large company that pays great dividends that's in the healthcare market. That's what we're looking for. So we'll see if the screener can help do that for us. So we're going to look at drug manufacturers because we want a drug manufacturer. We could always go and look at this other too. But we're going to look at the big guys here and their major. You can choose if you want them to be hard index. You can look at their individual shares and market caps and all sorts of different things. Let's say we want big guys, so we want to have at least a market cap of, well, that's pretty big. Let's say 100 billion. Let's see what comes up. And let's say we want a dividend yield, so that's our a minimum dividend yield of let's say at least 2%. Maybe we want to go a little higher. And we want a high-paying dividend stock. That's what we're looking for in the drug area. So it's only going to pull up those drug pharmaceutical companies. Beta is, you remember, anything that's below 1 is less risky or less volatile than the index. If it's above 1, that means it's more volatile or more risky than the index. The price will change much more. So let's say we're looking for large cap, dividend payer. At least the index are less risky, so we got it as a minimum. We don't want a minimum. We want it to be a maximum risk of 1.0. So we don't want anything that's super risky as far as volatility. And then you can get into like sales margin, profit margin. If you were looking for certain price to earnings or price to book ratios or price to sales. If you like value stocks, maybe you want something with a low PEG ratio, which looks at price relative to its earnings growth. And then you can even look at analyst estimates and all sorts of stuff. But we want to get a start here and see what pops up. We can always narrow down later in this basic screener. And as you can see, for a basic screener, it's got good starting information for you to kind of narrow your choices down and then really dig in deep with the financial statements and different things. I just clicked Find Stocks at the bottom here. I'm sorry I did that a little too fast. Down at the bottom here, I click Find Stocks. And with that information, really narrowed my choices down. I got down to 5 drug manufacturers, major drug manufacturers. You can see they're all big, large market cap stocks. They're all doing at least a 2% dividend yield. Some are better than others, as you can see, and they're all below 1% in terms of beta. So if I'm interested in big drug companies, big market cap, pays a nice dividend, but really less risk, this might be good in a portfolio where you want some income but less risk. Here's some nice companies that are out there from this search. And you can see they're name brand companies, right? Johnson & Johnson, Merck, Novartis, Pfizer, Sanofi. These are big name, big known drug companies as far as, that you can then, compare and take a look at. And the same thing, you could go into the profile, go on these different things and find out more information about them. So that's from the stock screener. I could go back if I wanted to. Oh, one thing it has here is a nice drop down too. So this is limited. It's got me my information. But let's say I wanted to look at some extra data. Like let's say I wanted to look at valuation, some of those ratios. I can just click it. And of my ones that I narrowed down, it shows me some ratios like price to earnings, price to book, price to sales, that PEG ratio, all that. So if I'm looking at, let's say, something with a low price to book, something might be a good value type of play, or with a low PEG ratio, maybe that's where Sanofi stands out. If I'm looking for something, with a nice price relative to its earnings, at least as far as this group, Johnson & Johnson and Sanofi, stand out as far as that. Once again, in comparison to the industry, in comparison to the market, that's actually maybe a little higher price ratio, but you're paying more for, these good companies. That's the idea, is you're going to pay a good price for these, well-valued companies. And you can certainly look at their performance. Performance, of course, changes all the time, but it can show you, at least it's beta and all. It doesn't have return performance. You'd have to go back in there. So actively screened is what we looked for. All right, so there's a short little demonstration on the stock screener. Once again, you just choose your category, choose some information, and you can then at least narrow your choices down. And now that I've got my choices narrowed down to, let's say, 5 individual stocks, I can dig deeper and dig deeper into them and start doing more quantitative analysis and also more qualitative analysis as well. And then we'll also look at a more advanced screener where I can really narrow down and maybe do some more advanced things. That's what we'll look at in the next lesson as far as a more advanced screener. But to get started, play around with this screener here to get kind of started. And it's a nice little screener for the fun screener too. So it's pretty easy. Once again, screener@finance@yahoo.com. Give it a try and have some fun with it.